This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening and welcome to the December 21st, 2022 South Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners meeting. I'm going to call this meeting to order. If you would all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to announce that all public sessions of the South Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners are electronically recorded, filed, and posted to the website for public access. I would like to ask our Township Manager, Tom Petrucci, to please review our public and virtual meeting rules.
The hybrid meeting rules are as follows. Courtesy of the floor for non-agenda items will be at the beginning and end of the agenda. Public comment will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. For all listed agenda items, the board president will call for courtesy of the floor prior to the Board of Commissioners taking action on that specific agenda item. For in-person attendees, please raise your hand to be recognized, then move to the podium when directed. You will be asked to state your name and address for the record and may then proceed with asking your question. For those participating virtually, please mute your microphone or telephone to avoid any background noise that may cause interference in the meeting. The chat box feature will be active throughout the meeting. If you have a comment or question, please type your full name and address into the chat box. The staff member monitoring GoToMeeting will then unmute your microphone and you will have the opportunity to comment or ask a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I'd also like to announce that the Board of Commissioners met in executive session prior to tonight's meeting to discuss legal and personnel matters. Moving on to agenda item 4, courtesy of the floor. Is there any member of the public who'd like to approach the board to have any comments or questions this evening? Okay, seeing and hearing none, moving on to our meeting minutes. They've been distributed to the board from our December 7th, 2022 regular Board of Commissioners meeting. Are there any comments or corrections on those meeting minutes? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to presentations. This evening, we did have the swearing in of the fire police for 2023. Some of them have been called out to an incident this evening, and we will move this agenda item later in the evening if they are able to join us. Moving on to agenda item 7, ordinances. We have a motion to adopt said ordinance, an ordinance of the Township of South Whitehall, County of Lehigh, and Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Part 1, Administrative Legislation, Chapter 17, Boards, Commissions, Councils, and Departments, Article 5, Commission Meetings of the Codified Ordinances of South Whitehall Township to designate the meeting location and time for regular meetings of the Board of Commissioners, and providing for a repealer clause, severability clause, and effective date. And I will ask our Township Manager, Tom Petrucci, to please present.
Thank you. The draft ordinance has been advertised in accordance with the requirements of the First Class Township Code, and it is now ready for adoption. A motion is requested from the Board of Commissioners to adopt the draft ordinance. To give a little bit of background about this ordinance, the First Class Township Code states the following regarding monthly meetings. The Board of Commissioners shall meet at least once a month at a time and place designated by ordinance. This ordinance corrects and confirms that the commissioners of the Township of South Whitehall shall meet regularly on the first and third Wednesday of the month at 7:00 p.m. at the municipal building located here at 444 Walbert Avenue. So I'd seek a motion to approve and adopt the ordinance.
Thank you, Tom. Is there any board discussion on this item? Anything from the public? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve with said motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item B, we have a motion to adopt said ordinance, an ordinance of the Township of South Whitehall, County of Lehigh, and Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, fixing the property tax rate for the fiscal year 2023, levying a real estate tax for general revenue purposes and for fire tax purposes for the fiscal year 2023, reaffirming the current tax rates provided for within Chapter 328, Taxation of the Codified Ordinances, South Whitehall Township, providing for a repealer clause, severability clause, and effective date. And Tom, I'll ask you to present on this one also.
Thank you, Commissioner Kelly. This draft ordinance has also been advertised in accordance with the requirements of the First Class Township Code and is ready for adoption. The motion is requested from the Board of Commissioners to adopt the draft ordinance. To give you the background on this ordinance is consistent with the 2020 revisions to the First Class Township Code with respect to taxation and adoption of your budget. There are no proposed change to the property tax rates for 2023. So this ordinance enumerates the millage as follows. General township purposes tax rate is 2.849750 mils. Tax rate for fire tax purposes 0.47 mils. Total millage is 3.31975. And that will be the necessary appropriations and revenue in order to effectuate the proposed 2023 budget.
Thank you, Tom. Is there any board discussion on this item? Any from the public? Do I have a motion to proceed with said motion?
Make a motion.
Is there a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item C, direction, discussion, and review of comments received by Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. Consideration of motion to advertise an ordinance amending the South Whitehall Township zoning ordinance by deleting section 350-48N2, no impact home-based business, creating new sections 350-48H5, home-based business, no impact, and 350-48H4, home-based business, low impact, renumbering existing section 350-48N3, nursing home to section 350-48N2, renumbering existing sections 350-48H4 through H6 to 350-48H6 through H8 to accommodate the new sections 350-48H4 and H5, correct all impacted links within the zoning ordinance, and providing for a severability clause, retention of rights to enforce clause, a repealer clause, and an effective date. I will ask our township manager to please present this item.
So I can provide an overview of basically what has transpired since the last time the Board of Commissioners reviewed this matter. So since this has been taken up by the board, the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission actually rendered an opinion on the township's draft ordinance. They applauded the township for being consistent with the municipality's planning code and did not identify any type of land use conflicts with the county comprehensive plan based on this draft ordinance. So with that, I would turn it over to Dave Manhart if there's any specific questions on the language of the ordinance, but I do believe it would be ready to be advertised if the board is so inclined.
Thank you, Tom. Before we turn it over to Dave, I'll open it to the board. Are there any questions on the ordinance as it's presented? No. Okay, is there any public comment? At this time, is there a motion to proceed with advertising with said ordinance?
I'll make a motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to resolutions. 8A, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the township manager to execute a utility reimbursement agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for the Highway Improvement Project of State Route 309, Section 12M Water. And I will turn this over to Tom Petrucci to.
Thank you. I'm really reporting on behalf of Herb Bender, Director of Operations, who's been handling this. But basically, similar to our last meeting, the PennDOT has actually agreed to provide up to 75% of the reimbursements costs now for the water utility facilities for the township. Anything related to the Highway Improvement Project of State Route 309, Section 12M. I would like to point out there are milestone dates that we need to adhere to on this project in order to complete the 75% reimbursement, which Herb has been coordinating with our water and sewer engineer So with that being said, I would seek a motion to approve the resolution as submitted.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any board comments or questions on this resolution?
I just have a comment or a question, I guess, Herb. As Tom said, there's some milestone dates and things. Are we going to be good on those? I mean, it would be
Yes, I've
close.
already spoken to SSM. We are aware of all the dates and we will not miss the dates.
That's a good chunk of money from the state, so great. Thank you.
Correct. Yep.
Thanks for your work.
Yes, excellent work. Thank you. Any other board comment or discussion? Anything from the public? Okay, hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to proceed with said resolution?
So moved.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to agenda item 8B, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, establishing rates, rents, charges, and delinquent charges for furnishing water service to consumers and establishing the circumstances under which water service is discontinued and municipal liens filed. And Tom, if you'd present on this as well.
Yes, thank you. So this resolution is required in order to complete the previous official action of the board to increase the water and sanitary sewer rates. So the first resolution, of course, is related to water service. And there are increases related to the rates as well as the base charges. So basically, the need for the increases are to ensure that the township is keeping up with its infrastructure costs, which I will note that we've experienced multiple water main breaks over the past couple of weeks, thus confirming the need for this increase at this time. So this resolution would confirm the estimated revenues that are set forth in the 2023 proposed budget that was advertised. So I'd seek a motion to approve the resolution as submitted.
Thank you very much, Tom. Is there any board discussion on this resolution?
I just have a comment. It should also be pointed out, as Tom said, with the infrastructure cost, but also the majority of these costs are being passed on to us, South Whitehall Township, through Lehigh County Authority, the Water and Sewer Authority. So it's not as if we're raising the rate, without being hit with, I think it was 8.7, I believe it is, if I remember correctly, that we're being hit with from South Whitehall Township.
Thank you. Any other comments or discussions from the board? Any from the public? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to proceed with said resolution? I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to agenda item C, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, establishing rates, rents, charges, and delinquent charges for furnishing sanitary sewage services to owners and/or consumers, and establishing the circumstances under which water service is discontinued and municipal liens filed. Tom, do you have any further comment on this?
I do not. There would be the same comments as before.
Okay. Any board discussion? Any public comment? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve said resolution?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item D, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, approving and adopting municipal solid waste collection charges for the calendar year 2023. Turn it over to Tom Petrucci again.
Yes, so there are no proposed changes for the refuse services and the recycling services for this year. However, this would be the final year of our contract, so it would be very likely that we will have increases next year based on the fact we need to go out to bid again. But for 2023, the fees are going to remain at $380 per residential establishment.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. Any board discussion on this resolution?
I have a quick question. What's the time frame for going out to bid? When do we start that?
We will need to start that early in 2023 to draft and compile the specifications and to ensure that we are advertising specifications for competitive bid that are consistent with what the Board of Commissioners is seeking for the community. So we will be assembling a task force early on in 2023, and that is also consistent with the recommendation of the comprehensive plan.
Any other discussion? Any from the public? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve said resolution?
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to agenda item E, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the transfer of unencumbered monies from multiple township accounts to other accounts within the 2022 South Whitehall Township approved budget and to make supplemental appropriations for funds received within the fiscal year. And I will ask our Township Manager, Tom, to please present.
Thank you. So the first class township code essentially directs and allows the township to balance its budget from each fiscal year based on funds that have been received that exceeded expectations and to account for any items that potentially went over budget or have gone over budget or anticipated to actually go over budget. So this exercise is really just to confirm through each fiscal year that the township had the funds necessary to go over budget where it did go over budget. But to confirm, in the case of the township of South Whitehall, you may have gone over budget on certain items, but overall you had a surplus and you did not go over budget in the aggregate. Right. So essentially the purpose of this resolution is to confirm that you have the necessary funds on hand to account for any overages that you had. Now, to go through the overall result of the year, the township actually, hold on, sorry. The township going into 2023 has carryover of just over $6.6 million in the general fund balance. Of that amount, the cash carry forward will be $4,079,000 and change. And there's a few reasons for that. We did receive just over $1 million for the final drawdown related to the campus renovation. Noting that Republic Bank continued to hold that final amount of the loan until the project was complete. We did have some items that went significantly under budget. We had some items where we brought in more revenue than what was forecast. So taken all together, you will have just over $4 million in your general fund going into 2023. But that factors in a number of items that we are holding back related to the anticipated expenditures for the rest of 2022, as well as known charges to the fire fund for salary and benefits, as well as for an apparatus purchase that was made. So essentially, the bottom line is that even based on the overages that we had in certain line items, we have enough in surplus to move an additional $2 million into the fiscal stability fund at the conclusion of this fiscal year. So that's the two parts. The first amount would be to pay for the soft costs at the onset of the campus renovation project. So it's essentially reimbursing the fiscal stability fund. And the second $1 million is with the intention of growing the fiscal stability fund and our fund balance that we would then earn additional money on, and then that essentially be consistent with our fiscal stability policy with the recommended percentage targets. So all of the transfers are enumerated with set forth in the resolution. If there are any questions, we can further expound upon all of the transfers. We have the Director of Finance here, Tricia Dickert. We have the Fund Balance Specialist here, Kristen Blaznik. So if there's any questions, if not, we can proceed with adopting the resolution.
Thank you, Tom. I just want to comment that the information provided to the board was very comprehensive, very well laid out, very understandable for us. Thank you for keeping us informed of all of the transfers that are being made as the year is being finished out. It's not something that I've personally seen before. It's very helpful to give me a picture of where we are financially. So thank you all for your work. Are there any board comments or questions on resolution? Is there any from the public? Okay, hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to proceed with said resolution? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. I'm going to jump down to motion 9A. We have a motion to approve revisions to the 2023 South Whitehall Township proposed budget in accordance with Article 17, Section 1701B2 of the First Class Township Code. And Tom Petrucci, if you'd please provide direction on this.
Thank you, Commissioner Kelly. So the First Class Township Code allows the Board of Commissioners, after the proposed budget has been available for a period of at least 20 days, to adopt the final budget, not later than December 31st. However, before you adopt the budget, you may also make any revisions as appropriate. The Township Code provides for revisions to any one line item in the proposed budget not to exceed 25% and the overall budget not to exceed 10%. So in reviewing the proposed budget, Finance Department and the Finance Director and I determined that the FICA line items for overtime, seasonal staff, longevity pay, and standby pay by department as applicable and fund were not carried through as part of the new budget compilation process that utilized ClearGov for the first time. So we had undertaken a complete revamp of our budgeting process, and these line items for FICA just simply were not included. So we are recommending that these be adjusted as set forth in the in the memorandum for the general fund, the water fund, and the sewer fund. And the net effect of each fund is as follows. Total increase to the general fund FICA employer paid line items would be $55,304.91. And then as the board is aware, we had a surplus in our general fund of just over $84,000. So with the adjusted number, the surplus would be $29,560.82. So still a very balanced budget. The water fund surplus would be, I'm sorry, let me go back a step. The water FICA employer paid would be increased by $2,830.50, which would mean the water fund surplus would go from $748,658.02 to $745,827.52. The sewer fund FICA employer paid line item would increase by $3,748.50, and the sewer fund surplus would be adjusted from $113,394.24 to $109,645.74. In making these recommendations, I'd like to note that we may have been able to make it through the fiscal year without doing this. However, we felt it prudent to make these adjustments since they were knowingly inaccurate.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate your forward thinking and preparing this to bring it to our attention. As you said, even if you didn't need to, as the budget year rolls out next year. Are there any board discussion or comments on this? Anything from the public? Okay, hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve said motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to move back up to our prior resolution, Resolution F. We have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, approving the budget for the 2023 calendar fiscal year, beginning on the first day of January 2023 and ending on the last day of December 2023. Tom, if you'd please present.
Thank you. So the resolution just essentially accomplishes the following, summarized that the Board of Commissioners hereby estimates the revenues and appropriated expenditures from the fund equities, revenues, and other financing sources available for the 2023 fiscal year for the purposes set forth in the 2023 proposed budget. And it also confirms that the township has made the budget available for a period of at least 20 days following public notice. And we did include the proof of publication in your packet. And it also confirms the revisions that were read into the record with the previous action. And it also incorporates the final adopted budget with those revisions made as Exhibit A. So I believe that would complete the 2023 budgeting process. And would like to thank all of the board, as well as the finance department and all other staff with delivering that to the board.
Thank you, Tom. I would agree. It's been a very streamlined and informative process for all of us. Thank you for all who were involved with presenting to us. Are there any board comments on this resolution and the adoption of the budget?
I just have a quick comment. I just think it's a responsible budget to the South Whitehall Township residents. I want to thank the administrative staff for what they've put into it. It was well done. Holding the line on taxes. It's unfortunate that the sewer and water are going to go up a bit. But again, as I said earlier, that we're being forced by LCA on those charges and basically passing those along to the township. So congratulations and thank you for what the hard work you did on it.
Agreed. Thank you. Any public comment? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve said resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And just for the public's information, our budget is available on our township website if anyone was interested to review our 2023 outlook. So moving on, we're going to jump down to agenda item B, motion to approve utility service group cost of $60,000 for I&I. And I will ask our Director of Operations, Herb Bender, to please present.
Good evening. Public Works Sewer Department is respectfully requesting a motion to approve Utility Service Group, Inc. to perform $60,000 in I&I work throughout the township on the sanitary sewer pipes. This work is required to be done by DEP. Just so everyone knows, there was originally $325,000 budgeted in this line item. We moved 250 of this year to help offset the cost of the Tillman Street sewer line relocation. And that leaves us with 75,000 in that account. I did hold 15,000 back in case we come across to do a cast in place repair and it's beyond that point and we would have to dig it. I didn't want to put all of it in the cast in place and then have to come back for more money. So that's why I held a $15,000 contingency.
Very good. Thank you, Herb. Any board discussion? Any public comment? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve said motion?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Herb. Moving on to agenda item C, a motion to approve public notice advertisement of 3 vacant zoning hearing board alternate positions. And I'll ask Tom Petrucci to please present.
Thank you. So this motion is requested due to the fact that there have been issues of late related to the zoning hearing board meeting a quorum. The reason for that is there's been absences, and they're known absences. They're not unexcused absences, but there's been abstentions and there's been, those that are on that are, again, they're just not able to attend for whatever reason. So I'd like to extend or advertise a public notice to accept applications for the zoning hearing board alternate positions. Basically, it's become very time sensitive because if we are not able to meet a quorum with the zoning hearing board, that can present legal issues, as the board is well aware. So I'd like to simply request that the board authorize the public notice as submitted.
Thank you, Tom. I did notice that you have a deadline of January 16th for the submission of the applications. So at our January meeting, we can discuss the board having interviews to proceed.
Yes, that was the intention with that deadline.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
But any board comment on this? Anything from the public? Okay, do I have a motion to proceed with said motion? I'll make that motion. Is there a second? Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 10, correspondence and information. I'll turn it over to our Township Manager, Tom Petrucci, to review current vacancies on boards and commissions.
Thank you. Vacancies are as follows. Civil Service Commission has 1 alternate vacancy. Environmental Advisory Council has 3 vacancies. The Green Advisory Council has 2 vacancies. The Landscape Shade Tree Commission has 1 vacancy. The Parks and Recreation Board has 1 vacancy, and the Zoning Hearing Board has 3 alternate vacancies, as noted. Upcoming meetings are as follows, with details of an agenda posted on the website. The Zoning Hearing Board is meeting on Wednesday, December 28th at 7 p.m. The Zoning Hearing Board is also meeting on Thursday, December 29th at 7 p.m. And the Board of Commissioners will meet on Wednesday, January 4th at 7 p.m. I'd also like to mention that the Township Administrative Offices are closed on Friday, December 23rd, and Monday, December 26th, in observance of the Christmas Eve and Christmas Day holidays.
Thank you, Tom. Moving on to old business, Wares Dam. I will ask our Director of Township Operations, Herb Bender, to please give us an update.
Yes, Wares Dam is moving along very nicely. Both repairs have been poured. They are curing with the heat due to the cold weather with the blankets and everything. Everything is looking great. It's being inspected every day. We did hear back. We do not have to replace the sluice gate since we were able to get the current one operational. So with that, they should be moving into starting the backfill of the dam next week and starting of the gabion baskets. We are looking to get this project wrapped up by the mid to end of January. And then we will be all completed for this part.
Excellent. Thank you, Herb. And thank you for your diligence and oversight of that project. I know you're down there pretty much every day.
No problem.
Any board comment from the public? Okay, moving on to agenda item B, comprehensive plan update. I'll ask our Director of Community Development, Dave Manhart, to give us an update.
Yes, so the comprehensive plan, we had our final workshop meeting last Tuesday. It was recommended by the Planning Commission to open it up for public comment. That public comment period, as stated by the Municipal Planning Code, is to send it to adjacent municipalities, the County Planning Agency, which is Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, and the school district, so Parkland School District. We made a couple minor changes to the implementation table. We included the graphics instead of the letters, if you remember that. Printed out copies today. I had enough extra for the board, so there's a hard copy of the draft. The copy should go out tomorrow, certified mail, to that list of municipalities in the school district. We have, the plan is online. We have a comment form on there. We just finished that up before this meeting, so tomorrow we're going to go fine tune that. Put the slider on the home page and start with that. The other piece is we're going to add there was comments at the, not getting it. We're having technical. So I've gotten, some people are saying that that they can't hear, but I've gotten some text messages that sound is fine. I don't know if it's just the one person, but it seems like things are going fine. The other piece that was discussed with the comprehensive plan at the workshop meeting was to include a comprehensive plan 101, like what is a comprehensive plan? So we'll be working on that and getting that on the website tomorrow as well. And once we get that piece in, then we'll start pushing it out more. The other piece of that is we're looking at holding an open house. And the idea was to have it a couple hours before a meeting. So we're looking at the planning commission meeting in January to hold the open house where we'll have posters set up around the room. If people have questions or want to come in, we'll be here to answer those questions. So that's what we're thinking about for the public event. And it's kind of nice to see it where it's at. It's been a long time. We got through COVID with it. So it's happy to be where we're at with it. And thank you for everybody's help and input into it.
Dave, it was very, very nice to see this at our station when we showed up tonight. Thank you and all of the community development staff and staff throughout the township who have helped along this. It's been a long road. Thank you for giving us a copy of it. And I will remind the public, please go to our website, take a look at the comp plan, provide comment. If you have questions, call the township. We do best when we're partnered with our community, so please interact with us. We'd love to have your feedback.
Yeah, I do want to acknowledge Chris Stroller, the recent hire, the long-range planner. He really got it across the line. We had all this information and he was able to synthesize it and get it into the package that you have in front of you. So special thank you to Chris for that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that, Dave.
I have a question. So now we are officially in the 45-day comment period. Is that correct?
It'll officially start. So we sent certified, so we'll have that record of the date.
Okay.
So that we have the hard copy. So we'll probably just start it once received. So we'll start that 45-day. In the letter, transmittal letter, it says we're planning on holding the public hearing for adoption at one of the BOC meetings in March. So it kind of leaves a little bit of wiggle room depending on where that 45 days falls.
And just to clarify, residents can go to the home page right on the front and it'll be very clear.
It will be there. Right now it's not, but as of tomorrow, that's my plan is to work on that tomorrow.
Okay, great. I just wanted to be easy for people to get to, and thank you so much.
Yep.
Excellent. Any other comment from the public? Okay, thank you for those updates. Moving on to agenda item 12. It is time for our department end of year reports. I'm going to start with our executive department and ask our township manager for presentation.
Thank you. I have within the report, I've listed key events which are ongoing that cover the period from my hire date of September 6th till December 15th. I'll just briefly summarize those, but basically I've attended a number of public and departmental and internal meetings, including pension committee, public safety, volunteer fire subcommittee, budget and finance, green advisory, planning commission, comprehensive plan workshop, and emergency management. A number of project status update meetings, as well as introductory meetings with the township solicitor, township engineer, board of commissioners. Attended steering committee meetings for the Parks Recreation Open Space and Trails plan, I should say. Of course, all budget team meetings and a number of on-site meetings related to ongoing projects and concerns. For activities and deliverables, I can go into those in depth, but I think it's important to note that the manager's role is to provide administrative support, delegation, and oversight of assignments, guidance, and decision-making to all department heads and staff on a regular basis and as needed, with the goal of facilitating a positive and supportive workplace environment in which share ideas and concepts in order to improve operational and organizational efficiency. So with that, some of the way we've restructured meetings have been internally to have bi-weekly department staff meetings where the department heads are encouraged to discuss ongoing and future projects, policies, initiatives, and how to basically become more efficient and more effective and supportive of each other. Basically, I can go through all these items. You have them in front of you. If there's any questions, I can read them one by one, but I think overall the manager's role is to ensure that the people that are employed at the township, the department heads and the staff have the necessary support that they receive.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. Are there any comments or questions?
Excellent report.
What, oh, oh.
Yeah, excellent report. I especially love where you have facilitated a positive, supportive workplace environment where all employees can contribute. We love that, and I thank you so much for leading the township, Tom.
Thank you.
My only comment, Tom, is for the short time you've been here, you've accomplished a great deal. And I think on behalf of not only BOC, but also the township residents who may not see it like we do, thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
And I also want to thank your counterpart, Herb, also. I don't want to forget him because I think the two of you are one hell of a team for this township.
I would agree. With respect to Herb, I mean.
Yes, absolutely. It's barely 4 months that you've been with us, Tom. I'm very grateful for your leadership that you provide, and you make our role as commissioners very smooth. The information that you provide for us, it's clear from what we're getting from staff that you're providing great leadership for them as well. So overall, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Moving on to Community Development Department. Dave Manhart.
Yes, so I've included a PDF of the report that I typically give it quarterly. I did it for the 12 months prior. So the comprehensive plan, I included a list of all the meetings that we've had the year in 2022. You can see that it was dominated by the joint workshops. And then when we got closer to having the goals and strategies finalized, we conducted some open houses at the schools. That gave us an opportunity to kind of spread out throughout the township. Comprehensive plan, as I mentioned earlier, we are in the public comment period and looking to adopt in March. Additionally, the Community Development Department manages the Planning Commission. So I included a list of the applications that the Planning Commission saw and heard during 2022. I didn't want to put too much detail in this because the Planning Commission prepares an annual report. You'll get a lot of detail related to that when that comes, probably in February. I also included the Zoning Hearing Board, so that all of the applications that the Zoning Hearing Board heard as well throughout the year. And you'll see some of the applications are on both lists. Typically, they may have to go to the Zoning Hearing Board for relief from zoning, and then they come back to the land development process. So that's why you might see them on both lists. Additionally, we staff the Landscape and Shade Tree Committee. The role of the Landscape and Shade Tree Committee is to review plans. So land development projects that come in, they review for consistency with our street tree ordinance. And then also they review permits. So there's shade tree permits. A shade tree is any tree in the right of way. So it's the right of way trees, not private property trees. So that's an important distinction. So if somebody wants to take one of those trees down, they submit the permit, the committee reviews it, decides whether, sometimes they'll ask not to replace it, or they'll specify a certain species, and that's the kind of thing that the Shade Tree Commission looks at. The other big role of the Community Development Department is permits. So I included a graph of the residential building permits. And you can kind of see our ebbs and flows. It's somewhat all over the place. Typically, we used to be busy in summer and then it would kind of slow down in the winter. We haven't been seeing that as much, although it does still see some of that. You can see a lot of the residential new construction popping up in there, and that is primarily from Blue Barn Meadows and Regency. So that's really where the bulk of those new buildings are coming in. Non-residential permit building applications. Again, most of the applications for non-residential are some sort of renovation or alteration. So that's why you see those, a lot of high numbers. We don't typically get very many new non-residential. Those would be items or projects that have gone through land development, and then they show up in the building permit to close out that process. We also take in public works permits. So these include right-of-way permits, sewer tapping permits, water tapping permits, construction water permits, utility connection, industrial waste permits. So those all kind of come through our permits portal in Munis. So I thought it was important to include those. So you have an idea of the load, the permit load that we have and we're managing. Additionally, community development handles code enforcement. I included 2 graphs for this so that you have an idea of the investigations. And one thing is I noted that these are recordable investigations. So most of the time things are addressed with the phone call. They'll call Tom Harper, our code enforcement, and a lot of them can get resolved really quick. If they move to the next step with a formal RFI, this is what we're seeing here. And you notice that there's big spikes April through August. And if you go to the next page, you'll see why. We are primarily responding to high weed and grass complaints, and those typically occur during the summer months. So that kind of gives you an idea of what we do over the year in community development.
Thank you very much, Dave. It's
You're
a lot
welcome.
of information. It's very helpful to see it all in this report form for us. Thank you for bringing this to us. Any
You're welcome.
comments on the CD presentation? Any public comment? Okay, moving on to our fire departments. Will be presented by our volunteer fire chiefs. So in no particular order, whoever would like to come first. There we go.
All right, is that good? Good evening, commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you guys a little bit about what we do at Greenewalds throughout the year. So anybody in the room that doesn't know who I am or watching at home, Chief Andrew Garger from the Greenewalds Fire Department. I gave you guys all copies of our annual report with statistics to date. We'll update that in a couple weeks here. So that'll go into a little bit more detail, but if you'll entertain me for a few minutes, I'll give you some of the highlights. So first, we can start off with our response statistics. 2022 has been the busiest year in our 101-year history of our department. As of this afternoon, we've responded to 641 calls. That's an average of just under 2 calls per day. So we're on pace to do about 650 responses for the year. Of those calls, in rough percentages, about 17.5% of those were fires. We've been to 50 working fires this year, both in South Whitehall and some of our neighboring municipalities. 17% were emergency medical or rescue calls, 18% were service and good intent calls, 5% were hazardous conditions not involving a fire, and about 42% of our calls are fire alarms and other false calls. So digging a little bit deeper into those numbers, across all the call types, we averaged 10.54 members responding per call. And for our higher priority calls, we averaged 13 members per call for building fires and 16 members per call for vehicle extrications and other technical rescues. All told, our members have made about 6,437 individual responses in 2022 so far. Our Engine 1111 responded on 282 calls. Our Engine 1112 responded on 280 calls. Rescue 1141 responded on 230 calls. And our command vehicles collectively made 1,093 responses so far. Of these calls, we had a number that were fairly significant. We had several vehicle extrications, which we received a lot of positive feedback from our partners at the hospital and the trauma surgeons that assured us that the actions of our members afforded the patient the ability to serve occupants and pets, and due to their quick response, preserved a lot of property and irreplaceable possessions for the homeowners. At Greenewalds, we pride ourselves on being an all hazards response agency. So basically, when someone has a problem that needs to be solved and there's no one else to call, we're it. We had some interesting calls this year that certainly challenged our members and had them adapt to different situations they were presented with and find solutions to mitigate hazards and save lives. On top of firefighting, we do a lot of different things and offer a lot of specialty services, including emergency medical service. We are a licensed QRS agency through the Department of Health. We currently have 2 physicians on our roster. One is our medical director and one is also a firefighter. We have a physician assistant, pre-hospital registered nurse, 7 paramedics, and 17 EMTs, and we respond on a number of different advanced life support calls in our district. We also handle rope and high angle rescues, machinery rescues, confined space rescues, trench rescues, structural collapse rescues, water rescue, and we specialize in man and machine rescues for industrial incidents. And our bread and butter, kind of what our department is known for throughout the county, our rapid intervention team, which is a team of trained firefighters who get called to the scene of other people's fires to rescue their members if they become lost or trapped or run out of air while they're working. So this is a highly coveted responsibility, which we take very seriously and train on continuously. The large number of responsibilities that I talked about make training one of our top priorities. Our members accumulated almost 8,000 hours of training so far this year. Many of our members come almost every Monday night, but they train pretty much daily. Certifications, we had 9 new members this year receive their Firefighter 1 certification, which is their basic level of training. 3 members advanced to the Firefighter 2 certification level. 14 members achieved basic and advanced vehicle extrication certification. 20 members participated in a flashover survival training. 2 members completed their EMT training, and 1 member completed paramedic training. We also offered a number of courses and certification classes, including engine company operations, vehicle rescue, and all the other disciplines that we already talked about. We were able to complete 2 capital projects at the firehouse this year, developed a nice partnership with Public Works. We had our parking lot resurfaced, and we also had the roof replaced on our classroom. Due to Herb's hard work and Public Works, we were able to save a significant amount of money keeping those projects in-house. So that was a nice partnership we developed. We also had a successful year growing our membership. We currently are rostering 80 active members who engage in fire and rescue operations. This includes our officer staff of a chief, deputy chief, assistant chief, 3 battalion chiefs, 2 captains, and 2 lieutenants. We continue to retain our members by providing training for them, providing mentorship and personal growth opportunities, and also providing a number of social events throughout the year. So we took our members and families to a Phantoms hockey game this year, an Iron Pigs baseball game. We hosted our 100th anniversary banquet, and we had a summer picnic and, of course, our annual Christmas party. More than just firefighting, we also host a number of events in the community for our Greenewalds community. Our department was founded on a tradition of benevolence in our neighborhood and the surrounding areas. So we believe strongly in not only helping people during emergency situations, but also giving back to the community and providing for them during good times as well. So we continue that tradition today and try to remain a focal point in the fabric of the village of Greenewalds. This year we hosted our Easter egg hunt. We also hosted a fitness challenge and completed a CrossFit workout with people from our community on Memorial Day. We hosted our Halloween parade, and we just wrapped up our annual Santa run. Gave Santa a ride around the neighborhood to deliver presents. And we also, on top of that, work with the guidance counselors at Kratzer Elementary School to identify several families in the community who need a little extra support during the holiday season. So we were able to adopt 3 families, and our members and donors purchased gifts for the children and helped fill needs for the adults. We also supported and donated to several holiday programs sponsored by the school district and the Kratzer PTO. So on top of all that, we also do a lot of things with our community partners. We provide standby services for Dorney Park for different events and the fireworks. We help out with Michaela's Voice Triathlon for Inclusion at the high school, the Travis Manion 5K Heroes Run at the high school, several trunk or treat events at schools and churches and the townships, the tree and bridge lighting, the candy cane hunt, the Prepare South Whitehall emergency management event, Touch a Truck with the library. We also send members out into the community to do teaching. We provide fire prevention for schools and daycares and churches. We've been active in teaching at the Science of Fire class at Parkland High School for the high school students. We also provide the vehicle extrication portion of the training for all of the EMT and paramedic programs that come through the Lehigh Valley and Citronia ambulance programs. We also provide education and support for the South Whitehall Summer Playground Program. And we entertained a number of groups of Boy Scouts and other organizations that have come through the firehouse for tours. And so much more. We'd be here all night if we listed all the things that our members get involved in. So as you can see, there's always something going on at Greenewalds. Throughout 2022, we've worked very hard to handle the largest volume of calls in our department's history, as well as maintaining a strong presence and engagement in our community. We've built strong relationships with our mutual aid partners and continue to work on improving our operational capabilities. So those are all the good things that occurred in the last 12 months. We also had several losses along the way, unfortunately. This past year, we laid to rest past Chief Bob Habel, past firefighter Matthew Hummel, and past Lieutenant Alan Miller. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention our two fallen brothers and friends from New Tripoli, Assistant Chief Zach Paris and firefighter Marvin Gruber. So I've highlighted a lot of what we do, but this is just scratching the surface. As I said, we'd be here all night if I talked to you about all the amazing work that our men and women do every single day. Our membership is an outstanding group, and we are proud to not only develop firefighters, but also develop successful and productive members of society in a multitude of professional careers that they pursue. So I look forward to seeing what happens with the members of Greenewalds in 2023 and where this path takes us from here.
Chief Garger, thank you.
Very welcome.
It's clear what an integral part of our community you and all of the volunteers at Greenewalds are in so many different facets. Thank you for all the training, the dedication, the service that they truly give to our community. Please pass our appreciation on to all of the members. Heartfelt thanks for all that you do for South Whitehall.
Will do. Thank you.
Any other comment from the board? Aye.
The accident on 22 is wrapped up, so I need to know if I have to filibuster or not to give them all time to get here. My name's Jeff Kemmer. I'm currently Chief Operating Officer of Woodlawn Fire Department. I had been chief for over 20 years. Back, as the young kids say, when dinosaurs roamed the township. But so I have a fair bit of experience. Chief Garger gave a pretty good account of what it's like to be a volunteer fire department, and our facts and figures pretty much speak for themselves on this summary here. But I just want to point out, I guess, a few things that aren't in the paper, and what it is how well all three companies work together and how well served the people of the township are with their fire service, and all companies run EMS calls as well. So when people have the worst day of their life, we can normally get somebody to their door in 5 or 6 minutes, which for volunteer companies is pretty impressive, particularly, if you compare us with neighboring townships, it's really quite outstanding. One of the differences we have too is we're not trying to do Me Too. So, well, Greenewalds does rescue, so we're going to do rescue. Back, some time ago, we split up things. So Greenewalds focuses on rescue and RIT, and we focus on other things. And they're listed there in QRS. We run the Cascade. Emotional support is something we've been focusing on, both for the residents who we may think it's kind of nothing. We had one woman's CO2 detector went off, and for us, it was nothing. For her, it was absolute panic. So we have emotional support people who can deal with that. And also internally, too. We're all rough and tough firefighters, but sometimes we get to some pretty tough situations, and we look out for them as well. It's been a busy year. We've run 770 calls so far. No, actually, it's 773. But anyhow, so it's a lot of work for volunteer fire departments. Unlike Greenwald's, we do not have a full-time staffing program. So we normally have a handful of people who choose to spend their time at the station, and we can get a truck out very fast. And then the rest of the people are pretty much neighbors who, come together and help out their neighbors. And so with that, Barry, are we good to go? Okay. Oh, not yet? I have to say another stretch. No, I'm not going to drag this on anymore. One other thing that's kind of interesting, that was interesting to me, is if you look at the first paragraph, we have a very diverse fire team. And so we all speak English, and we have members who also speak Spanish, French, Hindi, Urdu, Arabic, Creole, and American Sign Language, which I found, absolutely amazing that we can have people who can communicate in all those different ways. So with that, I'll say thank you very much. I appreciate your attention. And ready or not, Barry? Up to you.
Thank you for the presentation. Again, your fire company, no, your fire company is, as I said to Chief Garger, such an important part of the fabric of our township. And we thank you and all of your members for your training and your service and your commitment to us. Thank you. Is there someone here from Setonia?
Thomas Williams was here.
I saw him
Yeah,
earlier.
he had an issue. He had to run out. So
Okay.
they said they will send something over to me and then I will get it out to everybody.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Just want to comment and say that I am so grateful to you and for you. Our township is so fortunate to have the companies we have, so well run. I'm just so grateful. And I'm so happy to see you here tonight presenting. And I really hope that I see you more. I would love to have you come in and give reports. I don't want to tie up your time. I know you have families and children, and it's another thing to add to your busy schedule, but I'm just so happy that you're here tonight. I don't remember that happening. I've been going to meetings for over 5 years now, and I don't remember it happening, and I'm glad it's happening now.
I would agree. Well said.
Just to piggyback on what Monica said, if there's anything we can ever do for you, let us know. We support you 100%.
Absolutely. Thank you. Are all the fire police here, or do we need to wait?
We're just waiting on one.
Okay, no problem. That's fine. We'll go on with our department reports, and when they arrive, just give me a wave and we'll get that taken care of. Moving on to our finance department. Tricia.
Good evening, commissioners, and wow, I mean, it's been quite a year for the finance department. Quite a roller coaster of a year. I would never have guessed that when we started the year 2022, we would be ending it where we've ended it right now. I issued a memo that sort of details the highlights for finance this year, but I'm just going to paraphrase just to save everybody some time tonight. Obviously, in 2022, we completed a timely audit. That was one of the accomplishments. We discussed and had the board approve a fund balance policy for the general water and sewer and refuse funds. We totally changed the budget process, right, for the good. I feel like we could spend so much time talking about the streamlined budget process, but what a healthy season it was, right? So we had all of the people in place internally. Finance did a reorganization. We had strong budget team, obviously the support of the township manager and the director of township operations. The communication to and from the board was magnificent. I feel like we did our best to provide you with as much information as early as possible so that we could all have healthy conversation. You could ask good questions. We could provide good answers. Definitely building blocks for next year's budget season. We are doing regular budget team meetings internally that won't just end after tonight's approval of the 2023 budget. We are going to essentially turn the page and start the 2024 budget internally with some additional improvements that we want to make, building off of the momentum from this year. And we started an internal audit with a third-party auditing company that expects to have all of that information and those reports back to us before we head into financial audit season. So all in all, it's really just been a remarkable year. I have to say, I don't know that I could have gotten through this without just such an amazing team in finance. Every single one of them, right? So it's not just the people that are involved in the budget process. So what you have to understand is when those people involved in the budget process are tied up, it puts a burden, and more work on everybody else. And, just for every single member of the finance team, I cannot give them enough kudos, just being as patient with me as they've been over the course of the last 12 months. That's really all that I have. Obviously, you have some more detail in here. Feel free to ask me any questions. But I did just want to summarize or issue one last reminder since this is the last public meeting for the year. December 30th, we will accept payments only until 10 o'clock. That will be receipted that day. We have a lot of year-end reports that need to be run on that day. And I would very much like to get my team home to their families in time. So we'll accept payments until 10 o'clock. After that, we'll hold them until the 3rd of January. And with that, I have nothing more unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Tricia. I have one word for finance, and it's outstanding. Everything you've just detailed. The audit was done this year on time for the first time in over 10 years in South Whitehall Township. And that's something that you and all of your team and all of the departments in the township should be extremely proud of. So thank you for helping us through the budget and all of the other financial reports that you get to us in quite a timely manner. Thank you, please, to your full team for us.
Yes, I absolutely will tell them you're welcome and thank you for those kind words.
Any other comment from the board?
Just to build off of that, I know I'm a newer member of the board, but having sat through the budget process the last 2 or 3 years as a citizen, what you've done with the finance department and the budget process, it's nothing short of incredible. So thank you for your leadership, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you accomplish in the years to come.
Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that.
I just want to comment that I sat on the finance committee with Commissioner Walk when he was with us, and on our monthly meetings, it would be interesting what was being said, and then Trish would sit in the back, and then all of a sudden say, "Can I say something?" Very quiet, and all of a sudden just come out with all these great ideas, and we just try to tell her, just let us know what they are, because we want to hear them from you, and we appreciate that. So thank you very much, and look forward to getting back to those meetings in January.
Looking forward to getting back to those great ideas. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, at this point, if the board is in agreement, I'm going to pause the reports so that we can go ahead and get our fire police sworn in, who were called out to an emergency earlier tonight. So at this time, if I would ask all of the fire police to please assemble just behind the podium there, if you'd stand in a line across.
are vertically challenged, we're gonna be.
You all have to get along. Everybody in there? Okay, so what we have before us tonight is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South Whitehall Township confirming individuals nominated by the volunteer fire companies as special fire police, each for a one-year term. Before we get into the oath, I just want to make a small comment. Fire police are very vital personnel at emergency services and our township plan events. You've been duly nominated and will be sworn and take an oath tonight in accordance with the Pennsylvania State Police Fire Law. The fire police assist us with public safety, with public events, with emergencies as you did tonight. And we're very, very grateful for your volunteerism, for your service to our community, and for helping keep us safe. Thank you all before we begin. What I'll ask you to do now is please raise your right hand as I administer the oath. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the ordinances of the Township of South Whitehall, and that I will discharge the duties of fire police in South Whitehall Township, Lehigh County with fidelity. Thank you. The members that are sworn in now, welcome to our new fire police, or some being renewed: Amy Bears, Andrea Search, Aman Mughal, Tusef Mughal, Shokat Mughal, Mushaba Mughal, James Galeo, Nicole Galeo, Jose Gonzalez, Noah Miller, Robert Himes, William Friedman, Jennifer Friedman, James Gilbert, Leandro Paulino, Sally Melham, Jacob Yekel, and Luis Perez. Thank you all. Congratulations. If you would stay assembled for a moment, we're going to take a photograph of all of you.
Commissioner Kelly, do you mind if I just say a quick few words?
Of course.
Just of my appreciation on behalf of myself personally, as well as the entire police department. You folks are fantastic. You are amazing what you do for our community, and you are always, as we say, Johnny on the spot. There's never been a time that you are not there when we need you. So thank you very much on behalf of all the police officers. They thoroughly enjoy working with you and appreciate everything you do every single day. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief Dorney. I think Dave's going to have you all stand here. I was going to duck. I'm not talking.
I still won't be able to see it. Tippy toes. We should get in.
And Chief Dorney. He wants us in front.
You just have to come down. He can't get you.
Oh.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. Stay safe. Thank you all for your patience in adjusting our agenda this evening. So moving on to our year-end department reports, we will resume then with Public Works and Parks and Recreation.
All right. Everything has been listed. You have it. I'm not going to sit here and read everything. We could be here for a long time. Public Works, again, has a great group of guys. I wouldn't ask for a better team downstairs, from the streets to parks, sewer, water. They all work together. They do a fantastic job for us. I'll start with the garage. They do the routine maintenance of all our seasonal equipment along with our entire fleet. They fix anything that breaks during the year. We very rarely have to take something out of house. They fix, I would say, 90% of everything in-house. They also help with speccing our new trucks before we put them out to get quotes back. So we're getting apples to apples quotes there also. And then on the park side, this was our first year that we brought grass cutting back in-house. In the beginning, a couple little hiccups, till we got a routine down and the route, but overall, ran very smoothly. They also take on a grooming of all the baseball fields down at Cover Bridge. We also do a couple of the school district fields that they allow us to use to keep the youth organizations playing. They also help us during paving season. They will give us a couple guys from the Parks Department, help us haul the material in with the trucks to keep our costs down on that aspect also. And then Parks and Park and Recs, they kind of go together. They help set up all the concerts, the movies, Fall Fest, Spooktacular, the tree and bridge lighting. Those guys are there. They'll work all day. And then they are there at night to make sure the event goes smooth, deal with the trash, help with parking. They also make sure the pavilions are cleaned every weekend throughout the summer when they are heavily rented. And they clean the bathrooms every weekend also, as during the week. And again, there's a lot more that they do. I'm just touching on a couple things. In the sewer department, now that it was approved, USG will be doing the cast in place lining. We did TV and clean the sewer pipes in area MS 56 this year. And then we also had 4 guys go this year and pass the sewer exam. So they are sewer licensed operators now. We are attending the Klein's Island meetings to see what we have to do there in the near future. And then we will be setting up a workshop for the board. LCA will be coming in, and the company they hired will give a presentation to the board, so you have a overall scope of what we are getting into. And again, Tillman Street, the sewer line relocation, that should be getting started very shortly. And then on the water department side, just so everyone is aware, as we spoke about the infrastructure in 2022, we had 20 water main breaks. They were all repaired in-house. We did not have to send any out. We also installed an automatic flusher up in the Pheasant Hills area where we have a little residual problem. That what was recommended to us. So every night in the middle of the night, it flushes the line out, keeps the chlorine residual great. We replaced 12 fire hydrants throughout the township. And the biggest thing I took pride in this year is we conducted our annual water audit report. And to have no major findings is very commendable to the guys who take a lot of pride in keeping the water stations up and running with no violations. I couldn't thank them guys enough. We did flush the full system, the full water system this year as required by DEP. That's how we were able to get the flow data that we are going to provide to the fire department, along with starting to color code the caps for the fire departments also in this coming spring. And then on the street side, we paved this year in 2022 in the road paving 79,000 square yards of road. We did do it all in-house. The only part we did outsource was the milling. We don't have a big milling machine. I don't recommend we get one. There are a lot of headaches and maintenance, so. We rebuilt the Springhouse detention basin, where a year and a half ago, it actually overflowed and flooded 2 properties out downstream of it. So we actually, working with Pitcock and Tony, had it all surveyed, and now we can handle about 5,000 gallons more of water in that detention basin. Leaf collection, which we just wrapped up, we did extend it a week longer for the residents. We collected about 14,000 cubic yards roughly of leaves. Now they are in the process of setting up all the trucks for snow. As we already had to use them last week, they are getting ready again for Friday night. We will have a crew here. And we replaced about 20 to 30 feet of rotted out storm sewer pipe this year, also with the streets department. And that's all I have for this evening.
That's all? Slow year. Herb, please congratulate the staff who were involved with that water audit. That's fantastic news. I thank you for your leadership of the department, your problem solving, your partnering with the fire companies to help taking the grass and the paving in-house. You've worked tremendously with our budget to get an awful lot of projects done this year at much less cost to the township and the taxpayers. So thank you for your diligence and commitment for South Whitehall. We are just grateful for your service.
No problem. Thank you.
Just wanted to say one thing, Herb. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for everything. Anytime as a new commissioner, when I've had a problem or a question, either hearing it from a resident or just my own not knowing, whenever I would reach out to Herb, oh boy, he was on it. And same thing with Tom, Chief, Dave, anytime. Tracy, I see you there too. Trisha, Kristen, you're all so on it. And the follow-up is just amazing. And thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Thank you again, Herb. I'm moving on to the police department. Chief Torney, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Kelly. Want to just really focus on, I know you have a list in front of you, just on our community policing aspects. That was one of my goals coming here in 2018 to really kind of take every police officer and turn them into a community police officer. And I think it shows in some of the things that we do throughout the year. Some of our highlights is we taught 23 DARE courses to 513 Parkland School District and St. Joseph's the Worker School at 5th grade level. And we also taught DARE to 791 middle school students in 7th grade. We engaged 40 students in the South Whitehall Township Police Youth Law Enforcement Academy, which is always a great time. And we also had 18 students in the Advanced Youth Law Enforcement Academy. We're currently in the Citizens Police Academy that conducts every other Tuesday night. We have 28 students in there. It's been going very well. It's a big hit. We also accompanied 35 Parkland School District students for the holiday shopping at Target for Heroes for the Holidays. And sadly, this will be my last meeting with a beard, but we did in fact raise $2,715 for No Shave November, December to donate to Parkland Cares Food Pantry and the Pediatric Cancer Foundation of Lehigh Valley. So those are two of our really good donors that we love to, because it impacts our community that we see every day. So there are two of our main focuses when we do any kind of fundraising activities. We doubled the school resource officer program to add 2 SROs to cover Parkland High School with 2 SROs and 1 SRO in each of the 2 middle schools, instead of having to flip-flop back and forth and kind of roll the dice to see if there'd be a problem in one of the schools. Now they're all covered. We also worked with the Parkland School District this year, and we taught run, hide, fight training to every person on staff within the Parkland School District across all the schools in North Whitehall, South Whitehall, and Upper Macungie Township. That was a big hit, and I think our school district is much better prepared, God forbid that day ever happens, than probably most across the state and or country. We're going to continue that effort over the summer with our staff. We conducted 2 Lehigh County consortium tests in the attempts to hire entry-level patrol officers. We're probably going to have another one coming up soon. We did in fact hire 2 off that list. A third one actually will be starting next week. One officer just graduated the Allentown Police Academy last Friday, and we have 2 new candidates that will start the academy on January 2nd. Another highlight is, as we celebrated this earlier in the year, just want to reflect again that Captain Michael Sorrentino retired after 33 years of dedicated service to South Whitehall Township. And I think that's something that really needs to be said again to show the dedication that he presented to the township over 33 years of service. We conducted 3,352 and a half hours of training as a department. The crime stats, we look across the board here from January through November. For this year, we had 12,400 reports, 991 crimes, 417 arrests. We wrote 1,203 citations and 1,924 written warnings. I think that goes to show the empathy of our officers that when they are in fact stopping members of our community and visitors that come to South Whitehall Township for traffic infractions, that it's not all about writing citations. It's about the effort to get them to make sure that they drive safely. So they write more written warnings than citations. They do have empathy. We are still reeling from a pandemic where a lot of people had not been working for a long time, and $130, $140 citation doesn't get you any more out of an interaction with the police than a written warning to make sure that the behavior is curbed and people are staying safe. We conducted 165 PALS checks in the Parkland schools, which is where our officers just walk around the schools and interact with our kids. Conducted 490 business checks of our local businesses in the township to make sure that they are safe and secure overnight. We also did 57 vigilance checks at residences for people who are away on vacation that the officers are checking on a daily basis to make sure there's no issues at the house. We're in the process of the promotional process. We just got our results back from the oral boards. So we'll be coming before the board in the second meeting in January to adopt that promotion list. And we are very active with our speed boards throughout the township. As you see them floating around, that could be a full-time job in itself. We're up to 6 boards now. So we're rotating those through the hot spots in the township. I know we get a lot of requests. We're trying to move them as quickly as possible, but to be as effective as possible. So to hopefully curb the speeding issues that we do in fact have in the township. I do want to commend the staff with the South Whitehall Township Police. The men and women are very dedicated to the community. They're out there every single day. They're doing a great job, and look forward to continuing serving our community in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Dorney. Thank you for your leadership of the department. Please thank all of the officers. It's wonderful to hear how integrated you are with all of these programs and also all the events the township has, that you've always got officers there to interact with our residents, which is just wonderful. So thank you for keeping our community safe.
Thank you.
Moving on to our last, we have our township engineer, last but not least, Tony.
Thank you. I provided a list of our developer project summary. I do this quarterly. We keep this up to date, keeps us organized, hopefully helps keep you organized. What we've looked at is between our sketch plan reviews, preliminary plan reviews, final plan reviews, some zoning. We were involved in about 50 different projects this year from the review side. We have about 20 active construction sites that we visit throughout the township. And the hardest is the dozens and dozens of capital improvement projects, drainage inquiries, site triangle investigations, file research, pretty much hand in hand throughout the weeks. Pretty much every week we talk to staff to coordinate and help them out and assist in any way. So another busy year for us, but we're happy to be part of the township, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Excellent, Tony. Thank you for that report, and thank you for the guidance that you give us from an engineering perspective. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any board comment?
Just one comment to everyone. Great reports from everybody. Really, I think as a new commissioner, it enlightens us as to what's going on within the township We hear it monthly, but now as a recap, we get to see it and see how busy we really are as a township and what's going on. From the engineering, legal, finance, police, public works, certainly, all, across the board. So thank you all.
Agree. I'll just comment as we close out the year. I want to thank our township management and all staff. It certainly is an honor and a pleasure to serve as an elected official with all of you. We've got an incredible team in this township, listening, as Dave said, to all that's done day in and day out that most people don't realize is happening. And we as commissioners don't know most of it until we hear it from you. So thank you for presenting that information to us. And thank you for all that you do for making our community great because of everything that you do. Moving on to agenda item 13, courtesy of the floor. Is there anyone who'd like to address the board at this time? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Agenda item 14, we need a motion to authorize payment of invoices and disbursements.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. There's no executive session this evening. I'm going to extend warmest wishes to all for a wonderful holiday season and wish you the very best in the new year. And with that, we will adjourn our meeting. I need a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This motion is adjourned. Good night.